I feel like today went well. I did some good things. It was ran really well. I enjoyed the experience.
All right, we'll do questions. First up, Gabe DeArmond, Power Mizzou.
Yeah, Larry, I don't think we've really gotten a chance to talk to you since you made the decision to enter the draft early. So can you take us through that process? I mean, was this something that was on your radar early, or was it what you heard from NFL teams? Just kind of how'd that decision go?
It was really just as the season just progressed, it kind of came about, and it was something I prayed on and talked about with my family, and we felt the timing was right. I mean, this whole past couple of years was very unprecedented times and was different, so we felt like the timing was everything.
Andrew Kaufman, KMIT.
Larry, it looked like you guys were doing some yoga poses in some of those drills. How important is that to an offensive lineman to be able to do those things? Why do the scouts want to see you do that?
Man, it's flexibility, hip, ankle, knees, just making sure you can bend and be able to be in the right position at all times. So it's huge. It's huge.
Jacob Infante, go ahead.
Hey, Larry, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. So obviously you're a taller guy and a bigger guy, especially for an offensive lineman. So when you have that power in your game, but you also have that length, are there any necessarily struggles that come with sinking your hips, especially considering how tall you are? Is that a little bit tougher for you? And if so, what have you done to kind of make up for that? I'm trying to think, lower center of gravity. How do you work to?
Right. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Really, it's one thing. I don't really think I struggle with it that much, but I kind of just use my power to overtake for that. Try to get my hands on people and throw my hands and be violent with that, and that kind of makes up for that area if I'm lacking in. But I mean, just past this training, that was one thing I focused on was lower pad level. Essentially, that's what that is.
Dave Matter, Post-Dispatch.
Hey, Larry, you played all over the line at Missouri. Where do you think is your best fit? What have teams talked to you about as far as just where you kind of project on an offensive line in the NFL?
Every team I talk to is really just anywhere on the line. That's really been the main thing, just the fact that I'm versatile and I can play anywhere. Me personally, I mean, I feel like I progressed and did well at tackle, but I'm not afraid to play anything. I feel like I can play well any position.
Thanks.
Wilson Moore, Columbia, Missouri.
Hey, Larry, I'm just wondering, since the season ended, what have you been doing? What have your workouts looked like? What have you been working on?
Well, my biggest thing was weight loss, and that was something I really just attacked head first, going out there to train. And the workouts were hard. I mean, it's a lot of extra work on my end, but I mean, I loved it. I loved the grind, and the results paid off.
Gabe DeArmond, Power Mizzou.
Larry, I know it's everybody's goal to play in the NFL, but if somebody had told you, 4 years ago that you'd be in this position, what would you have thought? And then what are your realistic goals or expectations come draft night?
Expectations as far as playing, like the first year, or as far as draft?
Just as far as the draft and where you feel like you've got a chance to go and what that process will be like.
Man, personally, I know it's going to be very stressful, that whole draft weekend, but from everything I've been hearing, I mean, I should have got a day 2, and that's wonderful news. But even taking that, I'm taking that with a grain of salt. I know anything can happen, and my head's not working. I'm really not focused on the draft to say. I'm just focused on just playing football and bettering myself. And when that day comes, I mean, everything will work itself out.
Dave Matter, St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Larry, you mentioned the weight loss. Where'd you check in today, and just how where does that compare to what you played at last season?
I was 322 today, and I'm down 25, 30 pounds. I mean, it was a long journey from just this past December to now.
Felt good today. Coming in there, I was knowing it was gonna question my hands and stuff like that. So that's one thing I wanted to showcase out there, my hands. I could catch and stuff like that. So.
All right, thank you very much. Now we'll do questions. First up is Dave Matter, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Larry, part of this process is always about sort of proving perceptions wrong? Is there, you mentioned your hands, are there things out there that you feel like you need to prove that you're better at, or parts of your game that are strengths that maybe people don't know about?
I think today I proved that, one, I'm in great conditioning. I was the best guy in conditioning out there. I did running back drills, but I went right in the receiver drills and did all those. So hopefully it shows that, when as the game gets tougher, I get stronger and I don't get tired. I didn't look tired at all. Honestly, wasn't really tired at all. But hopefully that shows that I'm in great conditioning and stuff like that.
Gabe DeArmond, Power Mizzou.
Larry, I know you've kind of built your college career the last 4 years on proving people wrong and coming a little bit from off the radar. So if somebody had told you coming out of high school 4 years ago you'd find yourself in this position, what would you have thought then?
Man, this process is really humbling because I never saw myself. I've never had a complacency mindset of like thinking, oh, I'm going to the NFL, or I'm gonna get a chance to showcase, my talent on why I should play in the NFL. But it's just, if somebody would have told me this, I never would have thought, because my situation on, getting eligible and fighting my way into college I think it was meant for me to go through that because of the mindset I had after that. Coming to college was to get better and work harder and not think that, I was better than anybody just because of how many stars I had or how good my grade was or how my recruiting was coming out of high school. My process was, I would say no other kid would have been able to, prosper through that. It was just, a little mess, I would say. But I think that was, the outcome of how my college career went. Obviously, I just think, if I wouldn't have went through what I went through in high school, I wouldn't have done what I did in college. So I would say, if somebody would have told me this would happen, I would have looked at them and been like, you're a joke. So, it's just a humbling experience that I get to go through this process. And, I just thank God, because, without him, none of this is possible.
Next up, Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest. Go ahead.
Hey, Larry, you mentioned about the fact that you didn't always get a chance to showcase your receiving skills during your college career. I'm just curious, what have you been doing in the last few months to really build that part of your game? And how would you grade your hands and going through the receiver drills today in the pro day?
The last 2 months I was catching balls, but I've always had hands. I just never got a chance to showcase them, but I've always worked on my hands and getting them better, catching certain balls from different angles, working on certain things like that. So I've always considered myself being, having hands. It's just I never got to showcase it. It's just different roles. Me being in college, certain things, it was just that wasn't my time. We had a certain personnel, so my job was to protect and run. I catch a certain checkdowns and stuff like that. But for the last couple months, I just been catching balls, man. But I've always wanted to get better on my routes and running receiver routes also. Running back routes, you got little flat routes, shoot route, flare route, and a check down in the option. But on those other routes, I wanted to work on too. So I worked on that at Exos with the running backs coach, and he helped me. Also, I would chime in with the receivers and work with them also. So I think it's how I worked, how my routes look so crisp today. I worked hard like this whole process at Exos, every day running routes and working on my craft and, wanting to show, because that's one thing I wanted to show today was that I could run routes and catch and be in good conditioning, because I went in to receiver routes right after I did my running back work. So it was no break. I went right in and made every route look the same. That's one thing that coaches say, you want to make sure your routes look the same. So even when you like this game, you're going to get tired, but it's how you look. Like, do you look tired? Or because, people can run routes, you get 2-minute break. No, this was route after route after route. So just like simulating the game, play after play, getting fatigued and tired. So I think it's been my preparation of working on my hands on running routes with coaches at Exos.
Next up, Alex Fleming, Florida Sun. Go ahead.
How you doing? Alex Fleming, Florida Sun. Playing in the SEC, you got a lot of competition at both of your positions of running back and wide receiver. A, how has playing in the SEC upped your game? And B, do you feel that you could carve yourself a niche being both versatile at the running back and wide receiver position?
Playing in the SEC, I'm not gonna like playing in the SEC. I would probably say the SEC is the most physical conference and biggest and fastest. Like if you look at guys that were in the draft last year and years before, SEC guys are the ones that are literally top drafted and biggest, strongest, fastest. Like I would say that me coming in as a freshman and having my first real game against Georgia in 2017, that was real. Like, okay, I'm in the SEC. You know, you can tell the different speed between Sunbelt and the ACC and the Pac-12, and the speed difference is way different, and and how big people are is different. It's just a difference, and I think it really did help me because at first I was like, oh my gosh, you know, the SEC, you know, you don't know, you know, I think last year of us having 10 conference games, well, 9 due to COVID, but the whole season you had to bring everything every game. You know, you're not just having, okay, we're playing we're playing Missouri State, and then we're playing Mississippi State. No, this is a whole conference year. We're playing all conference games. So I think that this year, like, I would say it kind of helped me a lot, you know, because going into the NFL, you know, you're not playing, you know, out of conference. You're playing a top-notch team every single game. So it basically makes you either brings the A game out of you. You know, if you don't have it, if you do, you don't. But I would say playing in the SEC has helped me a lot. And being versatile at the receiver and running back position, I think I can. I know I can if I get the opportunity to. So I just hopeful that what I did today shows that, okay, Larry can also run routes and he can play running back. I think that's big because, you know, we talk about guys like Le'Veon Bell and that can run and be useful in the pass game. So I'm trying to be like that. I'm trying to be able to actually be in the slot, put Larry in the slot. Larry can run routes. Larry can do this. So he's versatile, and that's very big in the NFL way because they obviously want to talk to you about. They want to see if you can do both things, run and catch the ball. You know, not just be an every down back.
Jacob Infante, go ahead.
Hey, Larry, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing good. You had the opportunity to go down to Mobile, Alabama and take part in the Senior Bowl, and you had a very good performance there. Can you speak a bit to how that week went for you and what you got out of that experience?
Going down to Mobile, it was for me it was business. I wanted to go down there and make sure that I was very sound on, you know, knowing the playbook, catching the ball, protection, and basically being coachable, you know, and being tough, you know, you're down there. It's a lot going on. Senior Bowl, you know, you could make as many excuses as possible, but you got to find solutions. You know, you're tired and all that, but you know, I think me going down there, one, I wanted to prove that I was sound on being coachable, being able to take accountability to little things that they're teaching me, and also being early, being on time. You know, they look at those little things. You know, obviously they look at the football player, but they want to know the person. They want to know who you are as a person off the field. So I think that was big with me, and I think I did pretty well. I think I could have played better in the game. I think I could have played better in the game, but that's one thing I could say that I wish I could go back and play better in the game. You know, you want to, you know, that was my last college game officially, so I just think I could have did better. But I think going down to Mobile, my 3 things were catching the ball, running, and showing that I'm coachable and that I'm sound on little things that they want me to get better on.
Thank you.
John Shearer, go ahead.
Hey, Larry, how you doing today?
I'm good.
All right. So I'm curious how you're taking not being talked about quite as much as Travis Etienne, Najee Harris, and guys like that. Is that motivating you to work harder, to be more well-known when it comes to the draft process? And also my second question, have you set any personal goals for yourself going into the NFL yet?
To answer your first question, I would say I've always been an underdog. Coming out of high school, I was underdog. I was 2-star, so I've always had a permanent chip on my shoulder. It's not more like because guys are not talking to me. Guys weren't talking about me coming out of high school. Nobody knew about me. That's why it was surprising that what I've done here in Mizzou. They're like, who is Morel? Like, but still, at the end of the day, all I can do, I can't control how people talk about me. The only thing I can control is how I play. And at the end of the day, film don't lie. The eye in the sky don't lie. So no matter what, if you're thinking another guy's better than me, at the end of the day, I know what I can do. So it's more a fact of how I take it. I'm more take it, okay, today, instead of me just doing running back drills, let me separate myself. I'm going to do receiver drills too. Not only do receiver drills, but actually do them right after running back drills. No break, no nothing. So doing little things like that, I hope that separates me, and how I take attention to detail to things, how I am as a person. So I really don't really get into all that. The only thing is I always had a permanent chip on my shoulder because of coming out. I've always, heard, critics and saying he can't do this, he can't do that. Well, when I get on the field, the film speaks for itself. So it's more of just I've always had a permanent chip on my shoulder, and then little things like that. It's just that add fuel to the fire. So it's just me trying to get better, man. It's permanent chip. Nobody pushes me more than I push myself. So it's more of self-motivated and trying to get better at those things.
I feel like it went great. Just being the fact that, it's a great experience being around all the coaches and stuff like that. This is a dream come true. And basically, just the fact that, I know it was just me at being DB and the position drills, so I was a little spent and everything like that. But I think it went good for the most part.
Thank you, Tyree. Next will be questions. First one's going to be Gabe DeArmond, Power Mizzou. Go ahead.
Yeah, Tyree, I'm going to have a follow-up after this, but it was tweeted out that you were clocked at 4.38 today. Is that was that expected?
Very expected. Hard work and dedication.
Going into today what's it like going in and knowing, hey, 40 yards is kind of like a job interview? How much pressure is there on that? And was that the biggest thing you wanted to show today, or what area do you think you had the most to gain by showing them?
I feel like it was speed and it was just my hands, showing my hands, showing I could catch the ball.
Eric Blum, Columbia Tribune.
Hey, Tyree, you answered the question with hard work and dedication. Can you kind of walk us through what it's been like, that hard work and dedication since you left Mizzou in the last game you played here?
Man, day in and day out, just grinding, not taking a second off, just eat, sleep, train all the time, and just never get complacent.
Alexander Corzo, hope I said that right. Steelers Depot, go ahead.
Close enough. Hey, Tyree, have coaches and scouts talked to you about the importance of versatility in the NFL, and what kind of versatility do you think you'll bring the league?
Yes, sir. They're always telling me, the more versatile you are, the more the longer you'll be in the league. So, and I'm bringing everything I can, just put me on the field anywhere, and I'm going to show you I'm able to do anything.
Back to Gabe DeArmond.
Yeah, Tyree, I remember fall camp your freshman year, Coach Walters and Coach Odom already kind of referring to you as a guy who had a chance to play on Sundays. When did that become a reality to you, and something that you thought was not just what you hoped for, but something that was pretty possible?
It's really been my mentality all throughout life. I feel like, I had coaches in high school, coaches in middle school. They all told me, and they uplifted me by saying, out of all guys, you're one of those guys that I could see actually doing things and sticking to football and actually making it somewhere. So I took that and I just ran with it the whole time.
Jacob Infante.
Hey, Tyree, how you doing?
How you doing?
Doing good. You mentioned that versatility. Obviously you're intelligent and rangy in coverage, and you're also willing to lower the shoulder in run support. So just got to ask, from your perspective, which, if you had to choose, do you like doing more? Do you like dropping back in coverage and making that big player? Do you like charging downhill and lowering the boom on some ball carriers?
Man, to be honest with you, I can't even choose. Like, I love them both. They're evenly loved. I love the physicality of the game. I love being in the post. So it's just wherever you put me out on the field, let me go make plays.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for Tyree?
Nice to see y'all again, Nick Bolton. I feel like I had a pretty good day. A little bit, wish I had a little bit better day in terms of pro agility and stuff like that. But overall, I feel good being back in Columbia, being around these guys, compete one more time. It's been a lifetime experience being here. So from that, I guess I'll open up for questions.
First up, Herbie Teal, Kansas City Star. Go ahead.
Hey, Nick, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How you doing?
Hey, I'm well, thanks. You were one of 300 plus players invited to the combine in Indianapolis, and obviously it didn't happen. But what do you think is your biggest regret of not being able to compete and showcase against the other elite college athletes heading for the draft?
Yeah, so being there with other linebackers, competing with those guys, they push you to be better. Just being the only linebacker out there, we don't know how you measure up until the day's over with. So just knowing being out there with those guys, competing with those guys, and everybody making each other better, that's kind of one of the things I wish I would have if I had the combine.
Griffin Floyd, Pittsburgh Sports Now.
Hey, Nick, I've got a couple quick questions for you. First of all, how did your 40 go?
It was pretty good. I ran sub 4.6. Probably should try to get 4.55. But other than that, I feel like it was pretty good. I ran faster than a lot of people anticipated me. So I feel like that was a positive.
Awesome. And then you met with Steelers inside linebackers coach, Jerry Olszewski. Can you tell me a little bit about that meeting and how that workout went?
Yeah, so I just met with him. I had a Zoom call with the Steelers this week. I didn't know he was going to be my linebacker coach until today. He was actually on the meeting. I never really showed his face until I seen him today. So I just kind of met with him, talked to him, kind of talked what he felt like was a positive for me, things I need to work on, something like that. So it was just a great experience being there. He helped me get a little better today.
Awesome. Thank you and good luck.
No problem. Thank you.
Dave Matter, St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Hey, Nick, during this process, is there any part of your game that any perceptions that you're trying to prove that are either wrong or just point things out that maybe people don't know about you as far as being a prospect in the NFL?
Yeah, a lot of people thought I was slower than what I really am. So kind of running, testing on 40 pretty good today. Was a positive for me. A common theme is kind of like zone drops, getting the correct depth and stuff like that. That's more so of how we played it versus how the NFL plays it. So it's different styles, different preferences. Just got different things, varies with scheme and stuff like that. So just cleaning that stuff up. That's kind of been a common theme. Also just working on getting a little bit better in every aspect to kind of be where I want to be. That's kind of what I've learned. It's been in this process. It's all about trying to get a little bit better in everything. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do.
Gabe DeArmond, Mizzou.
Yeah, Nick, obviously the numbers in the film are going to kind of speak for themselves. I'm curious, when you go through days like today, what are the questions you feel like you have to answer for scouts at the next level?
Necessarily, I don't have any really questions I'm trying to answer. More so trying to prove myself right. That's kind of been a common theme I had. I feel like I can play in the NFL and be a high caliber player. So it's more so proving myself right every day. I believe in myself. I'm trying to get myself in the best situations possible to succeed. And that's what I've been trying to do on a daily basis.
If I can get a quick follow-up, a lot of the places out there have you as a guy that could go in the first round. Does that matter to you? Hey, being a first-round pick versus just getting drafted and getting a shot?
It'll be a great experience to be a first-round pick. But at the end of the day, once you go in, put the logo on your helmet, nobody really cares where you're picked. It's about production at that point. So just being first round, being seventh round doesn't necessarily matter when it comes to terms of being on the field and being effective. So I'm just trying to give myself a chance to compete and play early if I have the opportunity to do so.
Andrew Kaufman, KMIC.
Hey, Nick, I'm curious, which teams have you heard from so far in this process?
I've talked to numerous teams, nearly all of them, probably about 3 or 4 I've had conversations with. So most of them have interested themselves, talked, Zoomed with 3/4 of the teams in the National Football League. So just everybody really.
Eric Blum, Columbia Tribune.
Hey, Nick, because of kind of where your draft stock was headed into the season, it was thought this would be your final year playing for Mizzou. It was, and even I think even Coach Walters told us at one point you would have been crazy not to, try the pro waters. Was there a moment in your head where you kind of decided, okay, now's the right time to try the NFL?
Yeah, when the season was over with, kind of where I tried to shift my focus to that. Prior to that, it's about winning. That's what my mindset's always been. Trying to get my team the best chance to win. So I really didn't think about the NFL until after that was over with. Playing in Mississippi State, I had a conversation with Coach Drink, Coach Walters, Coach DJ, and then after that, I had a conversation with my mom and my dad. And they all feel like I was in a position to do so, so I went ahead and tested the waters then.
So you'd say it was probably an easy decision once you got the focus on there. Like, okay, this is something I got to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Herbie, Kansas City Star.
It's just two quick questions for you. Just also to follow up on what Gabe asked you about what round does it matter to you, and you said it didn't. But how do you think you will react, and how do you think your family will react if and when you hear your name called out on TV?
Yeah, it's gonna be one lifetime experience. It's gonna be a lot of raw emotions. Just because I never thought in a million years I could be in this position until really now. So it's gonna be a bunch of raw emotions for my family. Just getting to where we get to today just shows the determination and grit that it took to get there. So it's gonna be just a lot of raw emotions. I don't know what those are gonna be, but when they do, they're just gonna be a raw and genuine as they get.
You mentioned also you spoke to a lot of teams. I have to ask this as the obligatory question because I covered the Chiefs. Are the Chiefs one of the teams you've talked to?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Alexander from the Steelers Depot, go ahead.
Hey, Nick, just to follow up the earlier question, you said you talked to the Steelers coaches and they were giving you some feedback. What specific feedback were they giving you? And just, do you know anything about Mike Tomlin and the Steelers in general? What do you know about those guys?
Yeah, so I actually Zoomed with Mike Tomlin, the GM. So I talked to those guys for about 30, 40 minutes on a Zoom call early last week. So I kind of got a basic background on those guys. The biggest advice for him was just stop being so hard on myself. It's kind of the thing I took for the day. I'm my biggest critic, and it kind of shows. I live off my facial expressions and emotions, and so just trying to clean that part up. Stop being so hard on myself, and just have fun when I'm out there.
Jacob Infante.
Hey Nick, how you doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
Doing good. When watching your tape over these past few months, and watching you on the field, two things in particular that stand out are your athleticism and then your instincts and ability to process quickly. So given those two things in mind, talking with NFL teams, have they been projecting you more as a Mike linebacker? Do they want you to kick inside there? Do they view you as an outside, whether that's a weak side or strong side?
More teams see me as a Mike backer, but I try to consider myself as a linebacker. So whatever one they get the opportunity to play in, about the opportunity to call plays, with the green dot, I'll let them do so. But most teams reject me as a Mike backer. I'll answer your question.
Yeah, for sure. And quick follow-up here. You mentioned that you've been in contact with most of the teams around the league. Just curious, are the Chicago Bears one of those teams that you've had the opportunity to talk to?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest.
Hey, Nick, thanks for the time. When you talk to NFL coaches and scouts, they always talk about wanting players who really, truly love the game. Curious, what is it about football that you love, and where does that love come from? Where did you really get, excited about the game of football?
Yeah, so I got excited from the game of football at a very young age. My dad played football. I played linebacker, defensive end at Louisiana Tech, so it's kind of been running through my blood to play this position. The best thing I love about football is the physicality aspect of it. That's kind of where I like to do. I like to hit, I like to run, I like to be physical. So those kind of where I really found love in the game of football. And then just my dad being there, helping me out throughout the way, giving me tips and reminders, just helping me out. Of all helped me get to this point.
Nate Allred.
Hey, Nick, actually wanted to ask you about your family. What do you want teams to know about the inspiration that your family's had on you, not just your dad, but your mom and sister, because, these teams obviously want to get to know you as a guy. Has it come up, and what do you kind of want them to know?
Yeah, so just know I'm a family guy. Not necessarily need a simple card of what I've been through in my life. It's kind of just everybody's been through certain stuff. It's about how you react and how you persevere through it. So not to say not wanting to know a certain thing about my family, just knowing I'm a family guy. That's kind of where I come from. A big family. Everybody got mutual respect for everybody in my household. So just to know I'm a family guy. That's kind of really what I really want to know.
Griffin Floyd.
Hey, can you tell me a little bit about how you match up against tight ends or running backs in coverage, if you prefer man or zone, things like that?
Whatever the defense is called, I like doing both. I kind of got my feet wet in college or moved up the depth chart because I could play man-to-man. We put a lot more zone this year. I didn't play that much man-on-man on tight ends or running backs this season just because of how our scheme was constructed. So I can do either or. I like play man-to-man coverage. We play primarily zone this year.